Richard Walsh is an entrepreneur, author, and business coach. He went from being in the Marine Corps to becoming a successful entrepreneur. While working in his own business, he became very aware of the importance of work-life balance and the 5 F's: faith, family, finances, fitness, and friendships. In this episode, you will learn about building a vision-driven business, implementing systems and processes, the power of having a strong team, and the value of having an exit strategy when scaling your business. Richard also shares a success story of transforming a chaotic remodeling business and discusses the future potential of skilled tradespeople in an AI-driven world.
I tried to get in the Marine Corps when I was 13. Okay, so I went as a recruiter. I was a big kid, 6 foot, 180 pounds, and so I walked in. I want to join the Marine Corps. And they started talking to me, and he looks at me and goes, "How old are you?" And I go, "Well, I'm 13, but I'm ready to go." And he goes, "They gave me some stickers and a folder and said, you come back when you graduate high school and we'll get you right in." So that's what I first tried. Got out of high school, and I was 17 years old. And I was just working on a golf course with my father. And I'm like, came in the break and said, I'm joining the Marine Corps. Because actually I went to, one step back, I went to a community college. I was going to go to college. And I didn't really want to, but I thought it was the thing to do. So I was standing in line, Sam, with my little schedule and my little check to pay for school. And I was looking around and I'm like, there's no way I'm doing this. I do not belong here. And I ripped it up, threw it in the trash, and went and joined the Marine Corps. So then I went in. So I was in the Marine Corps at 17, did that for 4 years, and great experience. That was good. Learned I don't really like being told what to do a lot. Like I can take some direction, but not constant direction. So got out, started working. I had to get a job, obviously. Swinging a pick, digging trench, literally with a pickaxe, and $5 an hour, and I'm doing that all day in the Arizona sun, 100 degrees. And I always tell people, I go, someone asked me to help them with a side job, and I said, okay, I can help you. I'll make some money. And they had like 35 tons of this kind of 3/4 granite. You had to shovel into a wheelbarrow, take around to the backyard, and dump it and spread it. I'm like, okay. So I did that. There's 35 tons worth. It took me about 10 hours in the hot sun. Got that done, and then I got paid $1,000. And I was like, wow, that's $1,000. I do the same thing for $5 an hour. I made 50 today, yesterday. And that was kind of the birth of my entrepreneurship, okay, my entrepreneurial journey. I'm like, I think I'll work for myself because this money's way better than working for someone else. And the work was basically the same at the time. So that really began the whole entrepreneurial journey. Started a landscape company, went into custom water features, started building that, did that for about 20 years. So that really launched it all. I did that till about 08, 09 when the economy collapsed. I kind of had to restart. I had 6 small children at the time and under 4 years old. So that was kind of crazy. And we had kind of lost everything, our house, everything else, and relocated, and I had to start from scratch. So that's what I did. I began to look at what I did wrong, which is a lot of things I did wrong in my business. Even though I was the best at what I did, I was top of my field, award-winning, published, all that great stuff. And then from there, though, I just redid it. I had to climb that mountain again. So I started connecting the dots on what actually went wrong in my business, on the things I ignored. That was really the problem. I don't really blame the economy. My business should have withstood that. Other businesses withstand downturns. Mine just didn't. So I figured it out, started doing it, made changes, started a new business, made those corrections, really wanted to be around my family more and stuff. Didn't want the business to run my life, and got that squared away. And it kind of bring me up to now. And then people started asking me, how did you actually do that? How did you go from all that to nothing back to having, succeeding and controlling your destiny, if you will? And what I found was, I really was good at helping people. So I said, well, I did this and this, and I started helping them. And that's when my coaching business was really born. Did 2 different businesses, and then was helping clients at the same time. And that's when Sharpen the Spear was kind of born. Started coaching. I wrote a best-selling book called Escape the Owner Prison. That went really well as far as helping people, get control of their business. And kind of brings us up to where we are now.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, you tend to find a lot of military guys become entrepreneurial just because of that kind of drive, mindset, discipline. But you said, you weren't really fond of being told what to do. And that's also a sign of people that become entrepreneurial, because that's like, I'm not saying entrepreneurs like us are control freaks, but we're just like, I can't have this person telling me what to do and I think I know what's best and I want to have a go at doing this in like my own way. And, as an entrepreneur, everyone has their kind of pillars of what they're going to kind of stick to, whether it's about making sure there's customer optimization, as in, the customer's always going to be happy, or having the best service possible. So I'm wondering for you, over your kind of 30 years of entrepreneurship, what was kind of guiding you along the way? What were your like core values?
Well, one was, I delivered the highest, what you call the highest value product, I guess. So I was an artist and a businessman, and the two for me blended really well. But I was creating these custom water features, and I just wanted to make them better than anybody else could make them. They were like, when I got done, Sam, the water features going, it's beautiful. It's a waterfall pond, everything else. It looked like that it was there before the house. Okay, that's how well I made them, how natural I made them look, and that just, again, that was a big driver. But from a principled standpoint, I always over delivered. No one ever said they paid too much for what I gave them. Matter of fact, it was exactly the opposite. It was always told me I need to charge more, and I did. I said, I like that advice. I'll charge more. And I kept charging more, which is great. So enabling to make some great money. But those are really the driving principles. When you talk about the military aspect and influence, especially as a Marine, because we kind of have we got a pretty strong ego. We are the best, and we like to hold to that. We are the few and the proud. But that ability to drive and that mission accomplishment, that mission, that ability to achieve your mission no matter what, I think it's ingrained in you in the Marine Corps. But I truly believe that most people who go in the Marine Corps, this is already in them, and this stuff's brought out. And if it's not in you, you probably don't make it in the Marine Corps. So it's not like they have this special tool they give you and you become this amazing warrior. Okay, it really just enhances what's already in you. They just know how to bring it out. That is in a lot of us. So I've kind of kept that warrior mindset, because to me, business is battle. It is war. To compete on the battlefield is really, really challenging in business. And I've been through the highs, lows, everything in between. So, our tagline at Sharpen the Spear is honing entrepreneurial warriors on the battlefield of business. Because we're really preparing them so that they can do battle, because it is that every day. Weather the big battles, right? The big storms that come. How do we get through that and push forward with resilience, persistence, all that good stuff? So it really helps us. It helps you continue that drive. And because a lot of people I know would say, I would have quit a long time ago. And I said, well, I just not smart enough to quit. I'm too dumb to quit. I just keep going until it works, So that was kind of my philosophy.
I like the way you described entrepreneurship as war. And there's that, age-old phrase of, you may have won the battle, but you haven't won the war type thing. And, it's looking at things as a long-term game rather than what you're fighting currently right in front of you. So I'm wondering for you, if you can tell me about a few times where you might have lost the battle, but you're currently winning the war per se right now.
Just a couple, because there's a lot.
As many as you've got, or as many that stand out to you.
Well, the big one, I started with nothing, right? Literally like a wheelbarrow and a shovel, built a great business, and then 0809 when that big economic collapse hit. I don't blame the collapse, like I mentioned a little earlier, but really I didn't have things in place in my business, and it showed all the weakness and caused it to collapse on itself. Right. So again, it wasn't the economy. That was just an indicator. That was the final straw, if you will. That was a challenge. So now I've lost my business, my house. I have 6 small kids, right? My wife, we have to relocate. Like, that's starting over with nothing. Okay. That was a little challenging, to say the least. And it took a little bit to figure out what I was going to do, because here's the thing. What happened, Sam, in the first 20 years is my business became who I was. It was my identity. Right. I was always in the uniform, always in the hat, in this. Every truck was wrapped with it. It's who I was. And if I wasn't that, I didn't exist. Right. And one morning I woke up, and again, 6 little kids. And I realized, wow, man, when I come home, no matter what time, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 5 o'clock at night, My kids would just run and attack me, just hug me, jump all over me and all that stuff. It was really great. Leave in the morning early. One day, I remember my son chasing me. He's like 3, chasing me down the driveway, chasing my truck, crying. I'm looking in the rearview mirrors. I'm pulling off the leave, and I'm like, it was just hard. And the epiphany that came, Sam, was, if I hold to this course where business is everything, business is first, above everything, faith, family, everything. I said, I'm going to ruin my children. They're not going to have good marriages, relationships. They're going to be those people who are just driving ambitiously to achieve a score, meaning a gross revenue or whatever that might look like, and everything else would just be disaster. I said, I'm not going to do that. I said, that I don't want to do. I know I don't want to do that. So I don't know what it's going to look like going from here, but it's not going to be that. I'm not going to obsess on my business. Now, which is funny because I'm a business coach, right? So, but I love business, but I've learned how to balance. I learned what that really means, because you'll hear work-life balance, right? You hear that all the time. I don't like that saying at all. Okay, because people say stuff with no roadmap. They just say, you need work-life balance. Yeah, well, why don't you tell me what that looks like in your life? And they can't, because they don't have it, because they don't even know what it is. So what is it, right? So what is it? So we came up with this. It's called the 5 F's. I didn't come up with it. It's just something I learned. You got faith, family, finances, fitness, and friendships. Okay. If you can run a business and still hit all 5 of those points in your life, well, that's work-life balance. Okay. That's like, oh, that's pretty good. Yeah, I have this business and I've built it to run itself. I have great people. They're running it. I focus on 5% of that business only, the 5% that only I can do. And 95% is taken care of by others. So I can go deal with faith and family and finances and fitness and friendships. So that's work-life balance. I'm not into the hustle culture. Work harder, grind more, all that stuff. You hear that all the time. And I'm like, it's absolute nonsense. It doesn't get you, it destroys everything around you. It destroys all that because you think you have to do that. Now, one caveat, you're starting a business, you're brand new in the business. Well, you're going to work hard. I haven't figured out a way not to work very hard, but that's part of the deal, right? It's 2 years, a lot of hours, a lot of work, wearing a lot of hats, doing this kind of stuff. But the problem, Sam, is next thing you know, it's 10 years and you've repeated the first 2 years 5 times. So you've never gotten out of it. And that's where people get hung up, because they think if they just work harder, it'll be okay. Because they're making money, because that's the easiest thing to do in business is make money. It's everything else they don't focus on. Automation, delegation, elimination. They don't work on that. If they can focus on those 3 things, that's where freedom comes from. Does that make sense?
Yeah, 100%. And, having this kind of philosophy and approach to business is really freeing. Like you said, like you spoke about work-life balance. And I have a phrase that I don't know if I took it from someone else or if I kind of made it up myself or it was a guest that said it on here. But, there is no such thing as work-life balance, because when you go to work, you're not dead. That's still your life. It's a big part of your life. You spend more time with your colleagues than you do with your own family. And, was it 5 F's? I think it was 5 F's.
Yes.
Faith, family, finances, fitness, friendship, right? Those 5 F's are so important, but people are so focused on the finance side that they forget that the rest of their life, which is, arguably fueled by the financing side, is just as important. So I wonder for you, what it is like as a business coach to kind of coach people through this. They're kind of stuck in this this box of like, right, I'm going to make money, that'll make everyone happy, and they don't become kind of conscious. I know you've got a book that's about this actually called Escape the Owner Prison. So I wonder if you can talk to me about that in context to what I've just said about, focusing on the wrong things.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the biggest, I'll call it a mistake, but I think it's the biggest misdirection, is that a lot of business owners focus on gross revenue, how much you're making every year. That becomes their scorecard. Okay, so it's this drive to make more. What's the big number? Okay, now that's gross revenue, and and there's a really good saying, and it's called, gross revenue feeds the ego, profit feeds the family. Okay, this is what you keep. I know guys doing 10 million a year and they can't take home 100,000. Okay, so your system's broken. it looks cool to everybody else on the outside, but you're making nothing. You're running a poor business. You're focused on the wrong things, right? And it does come to that. So Escape the Owner Prison, when I wrote that, I weave my story in there, that first 20 years, what I did, the collapse, then the build back from that. I put all that in there to help people go, this is how you're supposed to do it. This is why everyone gets in business, to be able to do this, right? The 5 F's. Have the freedom, come and go when you want, do what you want when you want, right? Hey, we're all going to do that. That's why I'm going to start my business, because I own my time. You don't. Your business will become owning your time. You're there to serve your business. You become a prisoner to your business. If you don't open the door, business doesn't happen. If you're not checking in on everybody and micromanaging and delivering materials or doing whatever you're doing, like, it's all messed up. Yes, it gets done and then you make income, but you never can free yourself from that. You're chained to it. And I ask people, can you leave for a week without calling the office? Oh yeah, probably. Can you go 2 weeks? 3 weeks? 4 weeks? 2 months. Can your business survive without you for 2 months if you don't talk to it? Most 98% are no. Right? Well, why not? Right? So you don't have any freedom. Because if you don't have a business, then you don't have any income. Right? Now you got to go work for someone. So we really have to look at it from that standpoint. How do we escape that? How do we get out of that hamster wheel every 2 years, repeated again and again and again? Right? So we want to create the work-life balance, if you will. Like you said, work is important. Work is, I believe God put us on the planet to work. That was the first thing he gave Adam to do. Okay. Well, my biblical perspective, get there and work, tend the garden. Like, can you imagine? You ever think of that? First thing he would do was get to work. Okay. And the place was perfect and he still had to work, right? So work is good. Work is a good thing. I like to work. I love to work. I have to tether myself from becoming obsessive and staying in work because it's easy. It's not easy? Come home to 6 kids on the weekend when there maybe isn't a plan and it's absolute chaos. Okay. Monday became my favorite day of the week because I got to go back to work. Okay. It's not really a good mindset. Okay. So I had to work through that and figure that stuff out. But how can I go and be super productive at work? Again, I've automated the right things. I've delegated things to people who know what to do. I've eliminated a lot of things like redundancies, inefficiencies myself. Right? How do I get myself out of there and let these people do what they do, which is great. Now I can balance things out. I get my workouts in every day. I get to eat right and be healthy. I focus on money, right? I understand where it's going, what it's doing, how it can enrich my life and other people's lives. I don't just make it and look at the big pile of money. I have purpose for it, right? I have great friends. I don't have a lot of friends because I'm kind of particular in who I hang out with. So I don't have a lot because it means the time I spend with them is legit time. It's not acquaintances. I'm not playing video games. It's in deep conversation, helping each other and things like that. So, of course, my faith and my family and everything else, just trying to build that, what's that roadmap? And that's what I try to lay out in my book, to give people that sense of how you can do this and what you need to do to make that happen.
So kind of setting yourself a vision for your life, because one thing I'm picking up on here is, if you have a vision for your life or you have a view for how it's going to go, not only are you going to have freedom, you're going to have a profitable business, and also you're going to be able to kind of step out of that business, slowly to stop working in it and also work on it and, play around with different pieces and be like, oh, what would happen if we tried this? What would happen if we tried that? And tasking people with doing that to see what that vision looks like, as opposed to you sat there every day, stressed out of your mind, or going home and not having the energy to engage in the things that you want to engage in.
Yeah, you're right on point, Sam, because here's the deal. So this is something I do for people, for business owners, that really helps them, because they're like, well, yeah, that sounds good, but how do you do that? It's usually, and I love results. I'm a very results-oriented individual. We can wax eloquently on philosophy and all this cool stuff that might work. I deal with what works. Okay, I take people, we get the goal, right? We achieve the mission. And one tool I use is called exit strategy. Okay, so, one thing I tell them, well, the best time to create an exit strategy for your business is before you start your business, right? Understand where you're going to go with this, right? Most people won't do that. It's very counterintuitive. They're thinking about getting started and all the headaches and money and everything. They're not thinking about getting out of business. They're just getting in it, right? So you can see why most people won't think about an exit. But I said the second best time is right now, right? So you've been in business 5 years, 10 years, 20 years. Right now, start thinking about an exit strategy. But here's how it works. This is why it's so cool, Sam. So if I go out to the end, so we start with the end in mind, right? So in 10 years, I want to exit out of this business. I don't want to do this anymore. This is my plan right now. 10 years, I want to exit for X amount of dollars. I want to get a $5 million check. I want to have a business that runs itself. But then I go, okay, but I'll be making 7 figures a year. So I'm making $1 million a year in income for myself. But if I go to 10 years and then I sell, even though I get $5 million, I'm now not going to have $1 million a year because I'm out, right? The new guy gets that $1 million. So how do I keep my $1 million a year? Well, I build assets. I do rental properties. I invest in businesses. I do things like that are paying me passively. And now over that 10 years, how do I do that? Well, that goes to that finance part in the 5 F's. I focus on where my money goes to allocate and acquire assets. Rental properties that, hey, this pays me $500 a month. That's $1,000. And I create all that. Next thing you know, I have $83,000 a month coming in passively. It's now replaced my $1 million. So when I walk away with the big check at the end, I'm still making the same money I was, right? But I plan that so as my business grows, opportunities come and you have a chance to do another side thing or make money doing this, I can run all my decisions through my exit strategy, right? If that opportunity gets me closer to my exit strategy and faster, great, I'll do it. If it doesn't, I say a hard no, right? So it really helps me stay focused on the main thing. Because the biggest problem a lot of entrepreneurs have, Sam, is they get very distracted easily. Shiny object syndrome, right? They see, oh, I can make money over here. I can make money over here. And well, aren't you making money here? Because if you're not making money here, there's no point running over there because you're going to do a bunch of stuff halfway, mediocre. You're not going to be great at anything and you're never going to capitalize on that. So that exit strategy becomes this fantastic business filter. Plus, now, because normally when an entrepreneur, and I'm a big fan of running hard, I call it ignorance on fire. Like you can get really far that way because you're just going, right? You're energetic. You're going to make mistakes. That's okay. You'll fix it. You go to the next one, right? That's okay. I lived that right in the beginning. That's what all entrepreneurs do. But with an exit strategy, it slows you down because you've reverse engineered it from the end. And now you go, okay, well, I have to put this person on at this point. I'll need 2 people for this over here. And now you can plan. All of a sudden you see it before you. Now you have an actual roadmap. So if I'm going to go from the East Coast to the West Coast, okay, I need a map. There's a lot of stuff in between here, right, in the U.S. There are a lot of ways to get there, but you could end up down in Texas. You could end up in Florida, and you never get to the East Coast, right, or the West Coast. So we need that roadmap. Exit strategy is like roadmap. So you can make really, really sound decisions and know what's going to happen. It actually gives you peace. And then you start to get that control because you know what's next. You're not, oh, I got to put someone on. How am I going to afford that? I didn't plan on that, right? And that's where a lot of guys get hung up, and that's why they repeat that first 2 years all the time, right? So the exit strategy is really, it's a fantastic tool. It takes a bit of work to put in place, but it's worth it.
And part of achieving your exit strategy would be obviously to scale your business to a point where, like you said, you are getting a salary yourself or, some kind of payment yourself, but also being able to have the team grow. As the team grows, things might not really be making the same sense where before you would have had 5 guys out in a van going around doing construction work and it was all working perfectly. Suddenly when you get to 10 vans, your profits halved rather than doubled. So I'm wondering if you can talk to me about sustainable ways to scale, why some people struggle to scale, effectively, and how to scale in the best way possible.
Yeah, that's a great point. So a lot of people scale, you watch them grow their business, you watch them grow very fast, and then they're out of business, right? Because they overexpand. You'll hear that, right? We overexpanded. I said, well, it's not necessarily you overexpanded. You weren't prepared to expand. You didn't have the pieces in place to expand comfortably and in control. You just ran hard. You still were in ignorance on fire, scaling. Okay. And that's not when you want to do ignorance on fire. You do that in the very beginning when you're trying to get your business off the ground, not when you want to scale, right? So what they've done is they haven't systemized their business, meaning that there's systems and processes, standard operating procedures. Everyone knows what to do in their lane, whether it's an office manager, a site foreman, anything, any part of the business, they all know how to be excellent in their business, right? We call it a strategic vision. So we create a vision. So we're a vision-driven business. We don't have a mission statement. Hey, we're going to be the best in this and this, because no one cares. That is strictly for the owner. That's an ego statement is what that is, right? It doesn't move the people on your team. They don't care. They really don't. And it becomes wallpaper. They don't see it anymore. They walk by it every day. It doesn't mean anything. A vision, a strategic vision, is about purpose. Why do we do what we do? Where are we going? It's future cast. So it's what we're going to become, not what we are, right? It's like we have a lot of work to do, but here's how each one of you is the hero in your part of the journey, right? So they read it like, oh, wow. It really moves them. They get to give feedback. They get great recognition. They drive with purpose, and then they make money, right? So money is like the third most important thing to people on your team. People think it's number one. It's not. People want to they're driven by purpose. People want to have purpose, right? They don't want they want to get, what I do is I don't want people hitting the snooze alarm. I want them to be excited when the alarm goes off. They get up, they get out of bed, they get ready, they go to work because they're looking forward to work. Like build that business, and they stay and they do their stuff and it's happy. You've built this great culture because everyone's driving for a certain vision, right? And if they can't fulfill the strategic vision in their realm, well, then they're off the team, right? You let them go because they can't fulfill the vision. So when you make a vision-driven business, not only to make that happen, you have to have systems. You have to have processes, right? You have to have their functions laid out. You have to have accountability. So you end up building a business where everyone's in charge of their thing, right? Now, that's why they don't need you, because you've made them experts at it. We've built them up as people as well. We make them not just great employees or team members, but we make them better as people. So now they can grow. Now when they want to, and now I'm working on my 5%, right? So I'm looking at growth strategies. I'm focused just on that, on the vision. I'm focused on the growth because that's my department. That's what I'm great at, right? That's why I'm the owner. So when all my people are doing what they need to do, I can grow to whatever scale I want. And if I built an exit strategy, Sam, I know how far I want to build, right? So here's the goal, right? When you do that, and let's say we're getting near the 10-year mark and we want to exit. So you come with Sam, and you see my business, go, I'll make this guy an offer. I want this business. This is going to add to my empire. And you come in and we negotiate a price. We get down to the final. I get what I want. You get what you want. You hand me a check. I shake your hand. I'm out the door. You're in the door. But here's the beauty. Nobody knows it's sold because you don't have to fix anything. It's just running, right? Now you can tweak it, make it your own, change your brand, do whatever you want. But for the most part, that's the kind of business someone wants to buy. I don't want to buy a business come in and fix everything, right? Who has time for that? How are you going to get an ROI on that? Now you can, and I'll explain that in a second. But what I want to do is have that exchange. That's an attractive business. And when you're vision driven, and you have an exit strategy, you have to build your business that way because you're always building it to sell. And you may never sell. You may hand it down to your kid, whatever. It doesn't matter. It needs to be built like you're going to sell it because that's how it'll run itself. And that's how it'll be attractive. So even if you have a huge downturn in the economy and you're, I'll air quote here, forced to sell it, or you need to for whatever reason, you're still going to get the highest dollar amount for that economic situation. Whereas other people are getting 10 cents on the dollar, you'll still get 40, 50, or 60, right? Because you built a business that's worth having. Because the money's always there. Economic downturns, the money doesn't evaporate. It just transfers, right? So when we think about that, I think you kind of see the picture of where you go. And this is why you don't fail at scaling. Because the captain of the ship, if that's me, focused on his 5%, knows exactly where we're going. If you're not ready for that and you're just going out to grow because you're chasing what? Gross revenue numbers. Ooh, I got more real estate. I got more locations. You're driven by your ego. And that's what takes you down. Make sense?
100%. Yeah, it does. And when you're building a business to sell it, even if you don't sell it, you also have this kind of freedom of the idea of like, if I want to get rid of this business or I don't want to work it anymore, it's worthwhile. It doesn't mean that I'm going to end up putting a whole bunch of people out of a job, or at least, when you're selling it, that's not your intention. It's to keep it going and keeping it going with someone who actually has the energy or the years in front of them required to keep it going. So earlier you said as well that you're a person that's results driven rather than in all the kind of weeds of philosophy. So I'm wondering if you can give me like a client success story of yours. Obviously, don't include any names of the company or the person,
Sure.
but where were they at when they came to you, and like where are they at now, or where were they when they were kind of
Yeah.
done with your plan?
Yeah, it's the best part of my whole business. What I'm going to tell you now. I mean, this is why I do what I do, because I've been there, right? So a lot of I work a lot of construction, trades guys, service businesses, things like that. I do other stuff as well, but that's my primary niche. So I'll go into a company, and I'll give you one example, one company in particular. So this was a little over 2 years ago, maybe. Yeah, 2.5 years ago. At the time, he's doing 12 jobs. He's a kitchen and bathroom modeler, right? So he's doing 12 jobs at one time. Okay, that's a lot of jobs. So you're talking chaos. Trying to manage 12 jobs, getting all this stuff done. He was doing about $2 million a year, okay, and losing his mind, right? Chaos, stress, the whole package, like trying to deliver, get jobs finished, everything else. So he brought me on. He said, help me because this doesn't seem manageable. So I said, okay, so here's the goal. So we started the program, right? We kind of, let's lay out a vision, what we want to do. Very simply, I said, but I asked him, I go, you okay if you only do 4 jobs at a time? And he goes, well, how am I going to make money? Well, you'll make more. You'll make twice as much. And he goes, oh, I'll be okay with that. I go, okay, because that's what we're going to do. So there's no more 12 job stuff because I'm looking at what you're doing and who you're working for. I said, 8 of those 12 people you shouldn't be working for. They're not your ideal clients. They're work. They're just money to you. Okay. And you low bid it. You got the job because you needed work because you got all these guys. You got to keep going because you built up to 12 jobs at a time. You have created absolute chaos in your life. So we're going to fix it. It's going to take a little bit of time. We're going to get it. So go on 6 months. We get into the year mark. Now we're 3-4 jobs at a time. And let's say originally his original general price for a kitchen remodel was $43,000, right? A year later, you know what his average is? $93,000. That's a big difference. Okay. So now he's doing a third of the jobs, making over double the money, right? So let's keep going down that road. Let's really decide who we're working for. Let's understand we're going to continue to grow. So now the following year, he didn't do 2 million. He did 3 million. Doing a third of the work. Okay. Is that a good plan? That's a pretty good plan. And he has 5 kids. He gets to see now. Beautiful wife, gets to see her. They go on vacations. They go to the beach down in South Carolina, go to the beach, hang out 4 or 5 days in a week. Everything's good back at the business, right? He's in and out, doing stuff, closing massive jobs now. They just keep scaling up and up and up because he knows who he's serving. He understands his client. He got rid of the low bid stuff, got rid of the junk that anybody could do because he does phenomenal work. I mean, spectacular work. So it's always a point I bring up. You can't do bad work and expect to make a lot of money. That's Walmart. You can go to Walmart and do that. That's what you get there. So that whole process, so over 2 years, now it's not necessarily expansion. It's like improvement, right? Project managers, site foreman, people running the business, taking more and more off his plate to get him to that 5%. And it's amazing. His wife had told me, because I asked her, I think they were actually, were they at the beach? I called them and I said, so put her on the phone. And I said, tell me what was the biggest hardship when that business was crazy like that. She goes, well, he was never present. He was here, but he wasn't present. Like he'd always be leaving the room and talking on the phone to a customer. We'd be at dinner, same thing. Like we did things, but he was never really here. He was only here physically, but there wasn't that presence. I'm like, man, now that's something I should know because I did the same thing. We as entrepreneurs, we get into our thing and we can't turn it off. But when you run it that way and you gain that control and you understand who you're serving and how you do it, all of a sudden you get that peace back and you can shut that stuff off. So and I have multiple clients like that, same experience. They've gone through that from chaos to control, and just like they're managing it, they're doing what they do. Now, instead of the 70, 80 hours a week, they're down to like 20, okay, 10. 12. They're working that kind of thing because everybody's doing things. It takes intention. You've got to put it together. But those are the success stories that I see because like I have their families like thanking me for it's kind of like saving their father. Like he's back in our lives again, even though he lived in the house at the same time. A business will crush you. It'll tear you. It'll ruin everything else around you if you don't focus on that balance and running the business the way it should be run.
Yeah, and you're 100% right there what you said about looking for your ideal client, because I think a lot of people just want to get some money in the door, and if it's making them, a profit, then great. If it's not, then at least I'm getting money through the door. And it's like, realistically, if you spent your time focusing on the right person for you, the person who is going to buy your services or your product, that person's like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I found exactly the thing I need. And ideally, that person's not shopping on price. They're shopping on quality of service or offer recommendation. That type of thing will do way more selling for you than you just going, oh, what was the last quote you got? Yeah, I'll come in $200 underneath that or $1,000 underneath that. And then you come to realize that not only once you've bought all the materials or whatever else, that the cost ain't right. You might have to go back to the client and say, hey, we're over budget, need some more money. No one's ever happy with that. No one ever enjoys that. And, realistically, especially in the construction business, there's always that idea of, people will start a business today and start working with people tomorrow, and they don't know what, the going rate is, and they'll kind of make a bad job even worse. So they'll go in, try to fix someone else's bad work, make it worse, and then you end up having to pay twice as a consumer. But if you're a business that kind of specializes in a certain thing, it's your job to make sure that people know you for what you're known best for, and you refuse anything else that's, nothing to do with you or nothing in your area of expertise.
Yeah, that's a great point, Sam. You've got to understand what you do and what you do the best. So if you ever see like a truck and they have their logo and everything else, and they'll say we specialize in, and they got like 12 things. It's like, how are you a specialist in 12 things? Like, why would you put that? Don't do that. Specializing in furnaces. Done. Not furnaces and air conditioners and toilets and vanities. Like, no, just do what's your most profitable thing. That's what you specialize in. So if you know your numbers, you know what you specialize in. If it's kitchen and baths, that's what you do. You're not doing great rooms, or you're not doing bedrooms, right? No, we don't do that. We do kitchens and baths. Those are some pretty serious living areas. Okay. People got to eat, entertain in a kitchen, bathroom. Well, we know what happens in there, right? Those are important places. Okay. So understand what you do, because you can attach the highest value to those too, and you can deliver this experience for people, right? And make it, like you said, because in my water feature business, people loved water features, waterfalls in their backyard and ponds and fish. But everyone thought they could just do it. And you don't just do it. So probably almost 35% of my business was fixing other people's mistakes. And I didn't fix it, I redid it. So they had to start over. But people loved them so much they would pay twice. Now I went and did it right. I'm like, well, next time call me first. I'll save you the trouble because I do it right the first time. But so many people just jumped in the trend, and they kind of destroyed the industry because everything's leaking, didn't work properly, nothing was what they said it was going to be. So yeah, you're exactly right, that kind of stuff. So understanding your client, ICP, ideal client profile, understanding that is a critical aspect of any business, regardless of what you do or who you are. If you don't understand who your ideal client is, you can't target your marketing, you can't target your sales, you can't target your delivery, you can't target your communication. How do these people communicate? Because people communicate differently. Some people, just give me the number, how much does it cost? Well, I don't deal with those kind of people. I'm going to show you what you get for your money. I'm not going to email you an estimate, because all you're going to do is look at the bottom number and go and have sticker shock. When I sit down and get my laptop out and I show you and I take you through pictures, I explain every stage of the project and then tell you the number. He goes, wow, That's it? That's all it is? Right. Because I attach value to everything. And now that number makes sense. I have to really work on my clients not to send estimates. Never send an estimate to someone. That's a takeaway for anyone in business. You present the numbers. You attach value. They only remember the last thing you told them. So if you were there a week before or 2 weeks before, talking about doing the kitchen, doing all this stuff, whatever your last thing you talked about, like you do bathrooms, the last thing you talked about was the toilet, then you give them a bid for $100,000, all they know is they're getting a $100,000 toilet. Because they don't remember all the other stuff. So you got to go back and walk them through all again. Just repaint the picture, say how amazing it's going to be, and then that 100,000 will be, oh, okay, let's do it. What do you need, right? So you're right on point with that.
Yeah, and so right now we've kind of got profitability as something that we want to keep, an eye on, having our ideal customer, not spending too much time working in the business, more so working on the business, delegating, making sure we're not in the business. But also, I want to know what other kind of common misconceptions you see, something that I'm probably not aware of that, you see across the board of all the people that you work with.
Oh, wow. Man, the thing, Sam, is business it is complex. There's a simplicity about it, right? It's give and get. You give your service, you give your product, and you get money. You get reviews, you get things, right? So in that sense, it's very simple, but the vehicle you use to deliver that, to make that actually happen, that's what people don't understand. They don't understand how many parts fit into the puzzle to complete the puzzle. It's not, everyone can end up, and let's use kitchens while we're talking about kitchens. So I can have 5 different contractors do 5 kitchens, and at the end, all the kitchens are nice, right? You're looking, wow, nice kitchen, 5 nice kitchens. Okay. Is that what matters? So you think, well, okay, I got a great kitchen, but go sit down with a homeowner and say, okay, well, man, I love this kitchen. It's beautiful. Yeah, isn't it? It's really nice, isn't it? Yeah, we love it. Okay, well, tell me, how was it? I mean, the experience. They go, well, I'll tell you, I'd never hire them again because it's the worst experience I've ever had. They don't communicate. They don't clean up. They got loud music all the time. They got really foul language. They're in my house. Everything was dust everywhere. They didn't close. So they'll give you the nightmare to get what you're sitting there and thinks a beautiful kitchen. So to them now, yeah, there's a good end product, but the experience was so bad, it totally taints the end product. Then you go to another one and you'll say, same question. Oh, it was unbelievable. I mean, they're just, from the first call, they communicated with us. They got a client advocate, they call it, and they were our liaison. We talked to them. They talked to everybody else. We had one person to call the whole time. They always took care of everything. They did exactly what they said they're going to do. They brought us these really cool gifts when we went along to thank us. That place was always clean, always taped everything off. Plastic was up. It was just, and it was like they were done in a couple of weeks. It was amazing. It was really unbelievable. Quite a difference, right? So which one would you want? You both got the same end product. But the experience is what matters. The experience is how they're going to tell other people to hire you. So my kitchen guy we talked about, architects send them work. People just referral, so much work, just referral. He doesn't have to spend a dime on marketing. That's a good place. Eventually he will, as they get bigger and bigger. But right now it's like you just getting these unbelievable jobs from the right clients, because who are the right clients hanging out with? Other right clients, right? Their circles are the same. So I think what a lot of people don't get is you got to focus on the experience. Don't just focus on the service, the end product. Don't focus on a clean carpet. Don't focus on a clean car. Don't focus on a beautiful end kitchen or a beautiful bathroom. Focus on the process. Because if the process is right, how do you not have a great end product? Right? Because you're going to have the right people to make the process happen. Right? So that's a big takeaway for people. And honestly, when I'm working with people, Sam, it's like, you got to fire him. You got to get rid of that person. That person is cancer because they have attitudes. And this is not adding to the good experience. And it's hard, and once you do it, and now they know who they're looking for to hire as well. Right now, not just anybody can work there. Just because you're skilled doesn't mean you get to work here. You have to fit the culture of our business. You have to be able to deliver our world-class experience in this process. See, so it really makes a difference. So those are something that people just don't really look at.
And you've got so many years of experience in entrepreneurship. You were around before the digital age. You were there to see it start, and now we're well into the digital age. And you've kept yourself aware and using the kind of tools at your kind of hands right now. What would you see right now as the future of entrepreneurship? What is the thing that you can see over the horizon that will be coming into the entrepreneurship space that you're excited by?
Well, and this I may be just a little bit biased because of my niche, okay? But everyone knows about AI, right? Some know a little, some know a lot, and where that's going and what it's going to do. So I see a couple good things with that. Again, with my construction trades, things like that. It's already a high demand profession. There's enough people who are skilled tradesmen, electricians, plumbers, HVAC guys, builders. There's not enough of them already. And they get to almost charge what they want, right? They get to pick and choose. They're in that sweet spot right now. As AI advances and way more rapidly than anyone can even imagine, it starts to eliminate a lot of people's jobs, sadly. And the predictions are up to 60% of the workforce. So you're talking finance guys, so your Wall Street guys, finance guys, lawyers, even a number of doctors. These people can be eliminated, right? What AI can't do is it can't sweat pipe. Can't frame a house. Okay, can't do these durable trades. It's not going to pull wire so you can wire your outlets, right? It's not going to do that. So what I believe, and I coined this, I call my people, right, all these builders and trade, I call them the new white collar. They're going to be the new wealthy because they're going to be in such demand. They're going to get so much money for what they want. So what's kind of exciting for me in the future, Sam, is I'm preparing all my guys when we talked about how we're building their businesses to scale. Now, when you're in that position where you're the new wealthy and you can scale on command, okay, that you're the new generation. You're the new millionaires, just like the Great Depression. The Great Depression here in the U.S. created more millionaires than any other time in history. It was the worst time, but the most millionaires were created. So I believe those trades, those skilled craftsmen, they're going to be the new wealthy. So that's really what I see, and I'm focused on it. I'm helping my clients. We talk about it. We're preparing for it. It might be in 2 years, might be in 5 years, but whenever it's coming. We can't predict exactly, but we know it's coming. So that's what I'm seeing through my viewfinder, if you will, right? So other people have different things in tech and all that kind of stuff. But I look at, again, results. Sam, it's kind of interesting about me. Like, I love doing things you can measure the accomplishment every day. Like if you frame a house, I framed 3 walls. Okay, I did that. Okay, I cut this grass. I see cut grass. I did that. I wired this house. I did that, right? There's what I think people got away from this for a long time, but there's such a good feeling, that sense of accomplishment. That's labor, right? That's work. Only a laboring man knows true rest, right? You kind of think about that. Like when you put in that effort, and you do that and you see you're working, someone will go, I did that. They weren't just pushing numbers or something like that. Not that that's a bad thing, but there's just a great sense of accomplishment. So you tie that in with the ability now to make extreme money, become the new wealthy. It's pretty exciting.
And you're 100% right there as well. AI can come in, tech can get as good as it wants to get, and people can code away all they like, but everybody needs somewhere to live. Things will always get broken in your house, and somebody needs to come and fix it. Now, whether or not you have the skills yourself to fix it, or you need to get someone in to do it, that's a different question. But something I've definitely noticed as well, growing up, you would know people whose parents were tradesmen, electricians, plumbers, plasterers, whatever you want to call it. The kids don't ever want to get into that trade because they feel like it's really hard work. And my argument would be, would you not rather do work that is actually contributing to society rather than sit behind a desk and do something that literally provides no value for nobody? Like there's so many jobs in corporate America and, in the Western world and corporate in general, where it's like, okay, but you spend all day, all week doing this thing. What does it do? Who benefits from this? Oh, it increases shareholder value. And it's like, who are the shareholders? You don't even know who the shareholders are. You need to really think about why do you work? What is it that makes you happy? And if you focus on that kind of stuff, suddenly you start to realize that half of the jobs out there are just absolute nonsense, because they don't ever get shown to anybody. Nothing ever happens off the back of it. You're just shuffling paperwork, as they call it. So I'm really glad that you mentioned that construction work is something you view as the future of entrepreneurship. And I would hope that someone listening now can kind of go to himself, do you know what? I don't know anything about anything in construction. Let me at least have a look into it. And, it's rewarding. Obviously, when you're younger, you're going to have to do the back-breaking tasks of doing the thing to understand what's going on. But once you build and scale and all that kind of stuff, you hire a whole bunch of people to help you do it, and suddenly the burden is lifted from you.
Yeah, I think your point's well taken. You have a path to ownership. See, yeah, you got to learn the skill. And again, you don't have to be the greatest at it, but you spend 3 to 5 years mastering the skill, right? Where you're an electrician or you're a plumber, whatever. And then you go, I'm going to start you start doing side work because people ask you, hey, can you come fix this? I got a broken pipe. Hey, you run over there, you make $100. Okay, well, that was like me and my $1,000 with the granite. Oh, I can make money on demand. That's pretty neat. So, and people always need side work. So you can have your full-time job, and then you can have like side work and make just as much as your full-time job. Well, then you go, well, why don't I just be a business? Let me get my other buddy who's a plumber. He can come work with me. He starts doing it. You start to grow it. You start to scale the whole process we just spent a while talking about, right? So you have an opportunity unlike anywhere else. You're not going to have an opportunity like that in the corporate world, because again, you got to work. You got to build it, and you know who you're looking for. You work with other people who want to work, right? They understand. And there's not a high barrier to entry, right? You've got tools because you're already in the job. You know the things you need. You could have even gone to a technical school where they taught you how to weld and do this or whatever, and that costs you $10,000 and not $100,000 of a university. So you start at like $60,000 a year as a new graduate, and in 2-3 years at $80,000 and $100,000, you only spend $10,000 to do that. You pay that loan back very quickly, where other people are paying them till they die. They're paying that debt for 30 years, 40 years. It's worse than a house mortgage, right? For an education they truly aren't really using, right? Because most of them don't even stick in their majors. So it's a kind of a quandary. But when you really look at ROI, again, if you're a little bit business minded, well, there's a saying that say degrees cost you money, licenses, certificates make you money. Go get licensed in something. Go get certified in something so you can apply it, and then people have to hire you and pay you because you have that. Because they don't really pay you for a degree. All they say is, oh, you went through a thought process for 4 or 5 years. Okay, we'll put you on. You'll do what we tell you. That's what they're saying. You're going to do what we told you because you've been told for 16 years, 17 years what to do, and you've done it. That's who we want on our team. Do what I say. That's why I just didn't fit. I was born a contrarian. 100%. Look, the herd's going that way. I'm going to go this way. That's what I want to do.
Yeah. No, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I didn't even think of it like that. That's actually very good. Well, thank you for sharing that, Richard. So I have a question to ask you, Richard. And it's a question I ask every guest, but the answer is wildly different because it's personal to you. The question I want to ask you, Richard, is what is it about what you do that brings you the most joy?
I think we talked about a little bit before. It's the same thing. It's the freedom I bring to an entrepreneur who's trapped in the owner prison, because the majority are 95%. 95% of business owners are stuck in the owner prison to some degree. They're never truly free. And when I can do that, like I said, and you get the families thanking me for turning that, that's like, what more could you want? It's like, it's hard to explain. It almost chokes you up, like they get to be present with their kids. They get to raise their children now. They get to be around and be a real influence for good. Like I said, if I was stuck in business as number one, I'd ruin my family. Like I know that from personal experience, right? And I was able to stop that. And my kids are all teenagers. One's in the Marine Corps now, and I got 18s and 17s and 16-year-old, and they're just awesome kids. Are going to do great things. And now I'm not taking all the credit. I'm just saying that presence, that ability to listen and talk to them and see what they're good at, we homeschooled them too. So we homeschooled them all the way through. So we got to see their individual abilities and let them let them thrive in that place. We didn't say you can't do that, you can't do this. You have to stop learning math right now. The bell rang. I know you really like it, but you have to stop because you got to go to English class. Nope. You like math? Let's keep going. Well, we make up the schedule. Well, we're in charge. You want to do math for 3 hours? Knock yourself out. Let's go. I'm not going to stop you. So I love that. And that's what you give back to these business owners. That ability to be present with their families, with those around them, to make freedom, profit, and impact with their business. Freedom from the business, profit, because you've got to make money. Okay. Money's important. It's not something we worship. It's not something that we drive after, as the only thing. But without it, you can't get things done. So the more you have, the more people you can help. So again, it's all a mindset. Then the impact is just that. How do you take your people and not make them just better, competent workers, make them better as people? Because when they're better as people and you're helping them become better as people, they take that home to their families. Their families become better. Their families are in the community. Now you're changing communities. So my big movement, Sam, is help 10,000 business owners create freedom, profit, and impact in their business. Right? Okay, that's 10,000. That's a lot, I guess. But there's 32 million business owners in the U.S. So it's 10,000. It's not really much in that realm. But if I achieve that goal, again, goes home to the family, goes in the community, I'm touching millions of people. That's the influence I have as a coaching company, helping these entrepreneurs escape the owner prison. Freedom, profit, impact. So I like that. That's a good legacy. Change the lives of millions. Okay, I'm good with that.
Where can the people find you online?
sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. So you go to sharpenthespiritcoaching.com. All the info is on there. You can email me. You can book a call with me. We can talk about your business, whatever you want to do. I love it. If you want to escape the owner prison, Amazon, go on Amazon. Escape the Owner Prison by Richard Walsh. You can find that there. And I'd love to talk to you about your business. It's just, that gives me joy too. Lots of joy, Sam.
Thank you for listening to People Explained. New episodes come out every Monday. We would appreciate it if you gave us a review on Apple Podcasts and shared this episode with a friend.